Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or are you just happy to see me?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me this Friday. I know, again, I'm competing with Friday Night Tights, and I mean, it's a woman going up against like toxic males, so of course I'm going to be the loser in this instance. But it is what it is. At the, until the fall semester ends, and I can move this back to Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. So we're going to have to at least bear with it for the time being, as far as that goes. But again, thank you all for stopping by. I'm going to be by myself this evening because my normal co-host Deeg, who's about 6 hours ahead of me, I mean, I can't blame him. He's tired. It's about 2 a.m. for him, so he's going to get his sleep. I'm not going to be gone for very long myself because I've been fighting a headache all day. And because I'm by myself, I don't exactly want to lose my voice before I have a chance to see my niece this coming Sunday. So I'm going to basically cover as quickly as possible, but in depth as possible, the 3 topics I put in the title, and that is Simu. He's back in the news, and I did a video covering that this today about early afternoon. So if you haven't had a chance to watch that, go check that out. He's like an STD. He's the gift that keeps on giving. No matter what medicine you use, no matter what cream you use, he keeps coming back and like rearing his ugly head. Also, Disneyland is updating their Roger Rabbit ride especially when it comes to Jessica Rabbit, to kind of make it more relevant today. Surprise, surprise. And I'm going to be covering at least one article on the new God of War game about Thor, and it's not so much accuracy versus inaccuracy, although it's been shown that the depiction of Thor in God of War, the new God of War game, is accurate. There is another retarded article from the Gamer with the spin about how it's a win for body diversity. So basically, say you haven't played nearly at all any games, without saying you haven't really played any games at all, pretty much. But it is the Gamer, like I said. There are a couple articles I did want to cover, but I'm saving those for tomorrow. One of which is the race swap for one of the Norse goddesses in Game of War, and then a Polygon article, again much like the Gamer, retarded level, talking about how the women in the James Bond franchise can be everything except James Bond, and of course it's written by a cuck. So I'll be saving those 2 articles and coming up with about a third or a fourth, depending on the news for tomorrow or over the weekend, for Talk Nerdy to us at 10 p.m. So, without further ado, I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat, and then we will get started going again into what Simu, or what's been uncovered as far as Simu goes in the news. So first off was Orange Hat Reviews, who's doing his live stream right now. So he says he can't stay. He just left a like and says be awesome, and I'll catch the replay. Thank you so much, Orange Hat. Hopefully you enjoy your stream, and again, like he says, checking the replay. If you're here and not watching his stream, check the replay for his when he's done with his live stream discussion this evening. Mystic Red Knight, let's get this party started. As always, yes, Black Samurai 76 commence bombardment. Well, I'll try to be as animated as possible. Like I said, I've been fighting a headache all day. Whether it's allergies or what, I have no idea, but it is what it is right now. Trey Courtney, what up? Dave Myers, can't you ever bring good news? Well, I'd like to, but pop culture is pretty much very nearly dead in the water nowadays, and the only thing I can come up with is Cringe, pretty much. Master of the TDS, who is responsible for my new avatar on YouTube, thank you so much. He says, hello, everyone. Good to see you. Marv Luna, what's up? What's up? Good evening to you. Simu is a case of when keeping it real goes wrong. Yep, pretty much. Holocron Library Fox, hey, lovely loser. Thank you so much, Holocron. Nice to see you. And, okay, there's everybody in the chat so far who has commented. Roger is a rabbit, Jessica is human. How is that not wrong? Well, they will, you'll see in the article how they're updating the ride. And thank you for the well wishes, Master TDS. I figure, like, getting reasonable night's sleep tonight, and the fact that I can sleep in tomorrow because it's Saturday will help a little bit. Probably doesn't help with the change of seasons and everything, with allergies, and can't seem to get over this fucking heat. I'm in the Northeast, and it's not supposed to be this hot this time of year, but we still in the, like, 80-some degree weather, and I'm like, I can't deal with it. I just can't deal with it right now. So, let me just find that tweet I shared earlier on my Twitter thread. Hold on 1 second. All right. So, these screenshots have been going around, and I don't know what is going on with this guy. But again, like I said in my video, this is the same guy who got his panties in a twist over what Bob Chapek said, even though what Bob Chapek was saying was, when he talked about an interesting experiment, he was talking about releasing Shang-Chi solely in theaters versus the dual theater release and streaming release that they did with Black Widow. That's what he was talking about. But then you have Simu getting his panties in a twist, thinking that Chapek was talking about how having an all-Asian cast was an interesting experiment, and that wasn't the case. On top of that, with his own tweet, when he was lambasting Chapek, he was talking about how this is a triumph for Asian representation, even though he is standing on the backs of far superior Asian actors who have come before him to break that glass ceiling yet again. And to top it off, his tweet where he takes screenshots of the thumbnails of the YouTubers covering just the mainstream media's box office projections for Shang-Chi with the lol thing over top of it. Now he's in the news yet again. And hello, Shane Nolan. He says, hey, I'll feel better, Mara. Thank you so much, Shane. Hopefully I can. I mean, I'm starting to get over it. It might be something going around. I'm hopefully not, because I'm visiting my niece this Sunday, like I said, so I don't want to get sick. Yeah, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house, pretty much. So, he did all that, and now he's in the news again. And unfortunately for him, not in the way that he would have liked. And like I said in my video, fortunately for us, YouTubers, because now he is the gift that keeps on giving. He is the gift that keeps on giving, because now we have the internet being forever and these screenshots. Hello, Phil. He says, hey, Jay Shadow, looking great as always. Thank you so much, Phil. Hope you all enjoy the show. This is also Drive No Tank. I think that's like from Steph's Mario Kart stream. But let me kind of read this. I'm not going to go into everything that he has written here, but this was pulled from Reddit. And if anybody watched Lyndon Hall's live stream earlier this afternoon, well, late morning to early afternoon time frame for me, he showed a bunch of screenshots demonstrating how this account on Reddit is Simu Liu's, because they found posts where he has responded or created a post saying, hello, my name is Simu Liu, blah, 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 I'm an actor living in Canada, all that, pretty much all that bullshit. So someone found this. Someone found this post and took screenshots before it was taken down. And this is what it says. Hey, I'm a Canadian actor and I thought I'd chime in. This is Simu Liu. His account is nipped in the bud. I recently did a show in which I played a pedophile and did a significant amount of research, clinical studies, mind you, not the method stuff. And thank fucking Christ for that, unless, of course, you want to admit something there, Simu, on the disorder and how it's perceived in the media. In the end, the role completely changed the way I look at pedophilia and has made me much more sympathetic to anyone who is born with those urges. They're not urges. They're not just urges. It's a mental disease. It's a mental disease. It's a disorder. It's been labeled a disorder for decades by the American Psychological Association. From a biological standpoint, it's no different than being gay, a small mutation in the genome that defines our sexual preferences. One is a legitimate sexuality. It literally has sexuality in the name. Homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality. Sexuality is in the name. It is talking about sexual preferences. Those are, I guess, quote unquote, urges. That is what you find attractive in either the opposite or the same sex. Pedophilia, on the other hand, like I said, is a disorder. It has been a disorder for decades, labeled as such by the American Psychological Association, because it is not normal to be sexually attracted to minors. It is not normal to be sexually attracted. Now, I'm not going to go into the laws necessarily, because it varies by state to state in terms of whether it's roughly it's roughly around the age of 18, but it might vary a little bit state to state, just tad, about the legal age for consent. He's talking about a mental disease where you are finding children who have not yet hit puberty to be you're sexually attracted to. Thank you for dropping a like. I'm not going to go into this, that long. I'll be covering a couple other topics, but thank you so much for stopping by, Shellback, and hope you swing by again to hear the other topics I have to talk about. So, what was I saying? But basically, yeah. So, fortunately for us YouTubers, the internet is forever, and we have these posts, basically. Let's see. He goes, I'm not going to cover, like I said, I'm not going to cover everything. He does say, now we all know that taking advantage of minors is wrong, disgusting and vile even. Leave it at that. Leave it at that. But he's basically he's coming at it from a standpoint of sympathy for these individuals. Now, like I said in my video, if anything, if any feeling we should have, at least not positive, but in terms of not negative towards them, would be pity, because this is a disorder, it is a disease. There are those vile individuals that do realize they have it and don't care, but then there are those individuals who realize they have it and don't want to have it, and those are the ones I feel like who want help and kind of in a way deserve our pity. However, they need, in my opinion, to be removed from society. When I say removed from society, I mean basically put away in a clinic, in a hospital setting, or under house arrest with ankle bracelets, because they can't be trusted anywhere near in the vicinity of minors, and they should be part of a the national registration database, much like sexual offenders have to register in whenever they are arrested or found guilty of a particular crime, namely, some sort of sexual offense. That's what I believe needs to happen. And one way that can happen is if we were to, say, legalize marijuana across the board for both medicinally and recreationally. That would free up a lot of prison space for these fucking weirdos, as Trey points out. He's what a weirdo, yes. It's one thing to say that you had an experience when you're studying the clinical aspect of this disease, when you're researching it for a part, but at the same time now you're posting articles almost in a way sympathetic towards and wanting to gin up some sort of compassion for these people. I don't know what is going through his mind. I have no idea what's going through his mind. This paragraph right here. What we currently know about the disorder is this: homosexuality exists on a spectrum. For example, we all know that the whole barely legal subgenre of adult entertainment is huge. Anybody who jerks off to pictures of an 18-year-old and turns around and says all pedophiles ought to be killed is a fucking hypocrite, in my opinion. Well, 18-year-olds are fucking legal. That is the age of consent. That is the age of consent. Now, is it exactly, it's like, is it like, not exactly lewd or anything like that? No. Pretty much, it's fairly lewd behavior. But at the same time, 18-year-olds are legal. They are age of consent in most states. That is not the same as jerking off to a 10-year-old or younger. Yes, twisted and perverted. Yes, Q.P. Malik is twisted and perverted because he's basically comparing apples and oranges. Homosexuality really does not exist on a spectrum. Homosexuality is men are attracted to men, women are attracted to women. That's it. There's like really no spectrum. There are preferences in what type of man or woman they are attracted to, but there's no like, I know we live in a society now, and I use that term unironically, where people are claiming there's more than two genders, but in the real world, there are only two genders, and generally homosexuality is you are sexually attracted to that of your same gender. So you have gay men and lesbians. There is no fucking spectrum there. There is no spectrum. So, I'm waiting to see what Disney does, because this is going to be very interesting. I was watching Lethal Lightning's video. He was talking about it also on Lyndon Hall's What the Friday live stream earlier. And on the live stream, Lethal said, either way, it's not good on Disney's part. But if they knew and still hired him anyway, if they knew about this and still hired him anyway, then that is fucked up. But if they didn't know and they hired him and now this is coming to light, it is going to be very interesting to see what steps they take. It's going to be very interesting to see what steps they take, because I have a feeling that what's going to happen, and I Lethal says this and I agree with him, is Simu most likely going to, if he releases any segment at all, is going to be one of those publicist approved written statements to kind of try to mitigate the fallout from this. And he's not going to be fired or anything, because Disney has so backed themselves far into a corner from all this pandering that if they were to fire him after they've basically promoted the diversity and representation angle with not only their movies, like promoting their movies, but also in adopting critical race theory as part of like their employee training and so forth. If they were to fire him, doesn't matter how many fans are turning on Simu Liu, there's going to be enough of them that's going to raise a big enough stink that Disney is going to backtrack if they do. So either way, he's not going anywhere. I have a feeling either way, he's not going anywhere, because they are moving forward with diversity and representation in the MCU. Yeah. Which will demonstrate also their hypocrisy, because they fired Gina Carano. And I personally feel, and I also mentioned this in my video, that those who are wanting her back for The Mandalorian or for her show, her Star Wars show, or the one that she was going to do, I don't want her back. I don't want her back. I think she's better off without Disney, because this is showing that, in a way, that firing was a good thing. That firing was a good thing, because now she is away from all this shit. And if they don't fire him, prove once again what hypocrites they are, where their moral compass and ethics lie, and the fact that they only care about money and what virtue they can signal the loudest. That's all they cared about. That's all Disney cares about right now. They are no longer the Disney that we grew up with. No longer, like at least overtly, no longer the Disney we grew up with. I'm not saying that they were perfect even years ago, but at the same time, you got Walt Disney and Roy Disney, at least Walt Disney, rolling in his grave. So geezer, one Disney loves pedos. One of their parks is full of them. Yeah. So there's going to be some fallout from this. There is going to be some fallout from this, but at the same time, nothing is going to happen to him. I feel nothing's going to happen to him. Disney's going to try to sweep this under the rug as much as possible and move forward with this. Yeah, like why come back to a trash show? Not just like come back to a trash show, like come back to work for a trash company that fired her and she found out through social media. That's not a company that you want to come back to work for. No matter how good of a deal you get, I would be like, fuck you, I'm better off. That's what I would do if I were she. And that's why I don't understand the people that are wanting or having the hashtag rehire Gina Carano. Like, do you realize the company that's going to rehire her? Like, this is the same company that you rail against, but you want her back. Like, do you not see the disconnect? I don't get these people. I really don't. Hey, Mr. Popos. Hey, Jade. Hey, hi, chat. So there it is. So normally if I had a co-host, we'd be like going back and forth here. But like I don't think there's too much more necessarily that I could go into as far as what Simu said. Let's see if there's any other picture. So yeah. So he posted an article on medium.com. Medium.com is not exactly the best site to use when you're trying to defend yourself. I don't even want, like, Lyndon Hall said this is like an hour and a half read. I don't even want to do it. So, but there it is. So this was the thread going around. I retweeted it. I retweeted Lethal's video. I watched Lyndon Hall's live stream. I know Ryan did a video on it as well. Yeah, she can make twice money pretty much. I don't get it. But I'm going to be watching this. But like I said, I don't foresee much of anything to happen to him. What will likely happen is a company approved publicity statement to kind of mitigate any fallout, sweep it under the rug, and move forward because they got more movies coming down the pike and they don't want to jeopardize it. Yeah, that's what he said. It's like a long ass article, and I'm not bothering reading that. So if you have the time, go check out Lethal's video, Ryan's video, Lyndon Hall's live stream. He showed, like I said, a bunch of screenshots to prove that those screenshots there, while not saying Simulu's name, are tied to him because he had other posts where he mentioned that he was his name and where he lived and the fact that he was an actor. So there it is. So now that we got that bullshit out of the way, we'll be talking about it with Steph a little bit tomorrow evening as well. But let's go into what Disneyland is doing as far as the Roger Rabbit ride. Now, I actually have never been to Disney World either, but I've never been to Disneyland. So I don't know much of anything about this ride as it is right now. But it says Disneyland updating Jessica Rabbit scenes in Roger Rabbit attraction to make them, quote, more relevant. This is a movie that's set in the 30s, 40s time frame that was released in the 80s. It wasn't exactly relevant in the 80s based on the time period it was set in, and yet they want to make it more relevant today. Small Time says, free speech is a great 99% of the time. What Simu said is that 1% that should be universally denounced. Yes. It's pretty much like those situations where it came out in late 80s, came out in 1989. I remember seeing it in theaters. And, but the movie itself is like not set in 1989. So it wouldn't have been relevant to 1989, but yet it didn't matter. It didn't fucking matter because you had to suspend disbelief and accept the fact that you have live actors, people living alongside cartoons as if cartoon characters were actually living. That's what this movie is, on top of it being a mystery. It'll be on my channel tomorrow, Phil. So it's gonna be on my channel tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern. Well, they already refused to show Shang-Chi in China because of his remarks about the country. So, yeah, that'll make damn sure he never gets any movie release there if they were to do that. But let's go into this article. Disney has announced that Cartoon Spin, the Disneyland attraction based on it says 1988, but it's like 89 is when it actually came out. Animated film Who Framed Roger Rabbit will soon see updates to scenes featuring the eponymous rabbit's sultry wife, Jessica Rabbit, in order to make the ride, quote, more relevant. Don't you love that term, more relevant? Again, it's a kind of like a noir, old detective noir film set, like, or like, released in the late 80s. As told to the OC Register by Disney officials, some scenes in Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin featuring Jessica Rabbit are being updated to be more relevant and reflect a new twist in the character story within the attraction. Alright? The modified scenes will include one wherein Jessica has been taken captive by the film's villainous gang of weasels and thrown into the trunk of a car, and the attraction's final moment, which saw her break free from captivity and fight back against her captors. Which we all remember if we've seen the movie. One of the scenes says they are searching her, and she has a literal booby trap down her dress. She is not a weak character. She's not a weak character. And in fact, at one point in the movie, she saves Eddie Valiant's life. Why would they need to update? First off, update a cartoon character. Secondly, update a character, a movie that no one had any problem with at all in the 3+ decades since it's been released. No one had any problem with it until now. Yeah, booby trap. Like literally, the line is "nice booby trap." Play on the language. Disparu, hello. I only recently found out playing Patty Cake wasn't about them playing. No, yeah, that's like one of those things where you see it as a kid and it goes over your head, and then you watch it as an adult, go, "Oh shit!" So you figure out what's going on with that situation, or at least what it implies in that situation. Well, an Instagram post by theme park blogger the Calabay has confirmed that the former scene has been modified to have the two-dimensional beauty replaced with a barrel of dip, the substance used to melt tunes by Judge Doom. It is currently unclear how the latter has been affected by the change to Jessica's role. So here it is. So the original was she's in the trunk of the car, she's captured, and then here's the updated version on the right. You have the dip in the car, which, what fucking purpose does it serve? Like, I just don't get it. Again, it says more relevant, but to what? To whom is it supposed to be more relevant? Because it's certainly not fucking relevant to anyone really in this chat who never had any issue with this. Okay. Was it that young? So I remember seeing it in theaters, but maybe I saw it in theaters maybe it was like one of those kind of re-release things. So I don't recall being that young when I saw it. These jabronis don't understand that men can be damsels too. No, they don't. Twitter has a problem with it. That's all these companies care about. Yep. Jessica's going to have purple hair. Well, if she's not race swapped, she's going to have purple hair. Okay. According to a promotional image released alongside the announcement, this new twist will reportedly see Jessica throw her fedora into the ring by starting her own private investigation service. So here it is. Again, what purpose does it serve? Except to, say, hey, women can do this too. And we're sitting here going, yeah, no shit. Have you seen the movies that we've grown up with? We know women can do this. Yeah, it's going to be like Faye Valentine. Agreed. That's the thing. It's like the same thing with Faye Valentine, where you have one of the showrunners saying that's going to be more relevant or something like that when talking about an anime, live action version of an anime. To what? To whom? And here it is. And like I said, she saves Eddie Valiant's life at one point. Yes, they both get. Yes, like they both get captured at one point, but at the same time, someone was going to shoot Eddie, and Jesse Rabbit shoots the perpetrator and saves Eddie. She's demonstrated that she's just as capable, or at least she's not entirely a damsel in distress. She takes it upon herself to kind of hire Valiant to help her husband, Roger Rabbit. She's not on the sidelines. Oh my god, Brookie Investigations. So she's not on the sidelines at all. Yeah, the only good thing is they kept the curves, yeah. And she's not entirely a damsel. But here it is. This is promotional, citing the recent return of the Toon Patrol Weasels as the main driver behind the recent sharp rise in crime statistics throughout Mickey's Toontown. Jessica Rabbit has determined it is past time for her to throw her fedora into the ring by starting her own private investigation service while taking inspiration from a longtime friend and legendary Toon detective Eddie Valiant. Jessica shows that she certainly means business. Well, at least they have at least some cojones to show that she's actually taking inspiration from a man. This is longtime friend and legendary Toon detective Eddie Valiant. So at least they're giving Eddie Valiant credit in that regard. I'm not going to go fully into this article, but that's what's going on. Similarly, though, unrelated to Jessica herself, the Calabay also noted that a set decoration of Baby Herman smoking a cigar featured in the ride's queue has had said cigar removed from display. Well, I mean, this picture right here didn't really show much of anything to show the back of his baby carriage or stroll, or yeah, whatever it's called. You really didn't see Baby Herman, but at the same time, it's like do these people even watch the movie? Baby Herman looks like baby, but he's not a fucking baby. He's not a baby. He smokes cigars, drinks alcohol, like shots, and slaps women on the ass. He's not a baby. He's just drawn to look like a baby, so that way whenever they do the cartoons, Roger Rabbit cartoons, it's Roger Rabbit and Baby Herman. So no one cared. All this reimagining of female characters makes them less legitimate, not more, as if they need help. Yeah. Again, no one had any problem with this movie for 30 plus years after its release. No one had any problems with this movie. It's one of, like, I love this movie. There's only one scene I can't watch, and that's only because I'm weird like that. I just don't like seeing Judge Dredd put that shoe in the dip, because I'm like my mom. I don't like seeing even fake creatures suffer when I'm watching a movie like that. But everything else in that movie, love it. Love it. I love Roger Rabbit. I love the dynamic between Roger Rabbit and Eddie Valiant. I love there's depth to Eddie Valiant's character. That he's not just someone who doesn't like tunes. There's actually something underlying to his character that helps you gauge, oh, this is the reason why he has issues with these cartoon characters. It's not so much because he hates them, it's because of what happened in his past. And so, like, it's not just a surface level movie. It's a mystery with, like, basically a mystery wrapped in an enigma of Eddie Valiant's past, which all comes together at the end. I'm disappointed Blizzard is remaking this just so we get to see Roast Fruit. But my male gaze, Trey says, yeah. So, again, like, I've never been to Disneyland. I've never been to Disney World. And I know, Trey, said earlier in the chat, you said Universal is better. I would have to say, not having been to Universal either, would agree that's the place I really want to go, is Universal, the theme park, not Disney. But I'm looking at this going, there's nothing in, like, especially this article, but just in general, that's even remotely make me want to visit any of these parks. Nothing remotely. Yeah. Well, I mean Judge Doom, not Dredd. But yes, he was great. You have Christopher Lloyd. Oh, you have oh my god, what's her name? Kathleen Turner doing the voice of Jessica Rabbit. So, yeah. Watching that movie as a kid was a hell of a trip. Yeah, agreed. These changes to Cartoon Spin are but the latest in Disney's efforts to update their attractions for, quote, modern audiences. Previously, Disney removed the wench auction scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, as well as a number of images seen throughout Jungle Cruise. Going forward, the company intends to make similar sensitivity updates to Splash Mountain. All of that. Sensitivity updates. Do you all have like are you all like needing them to update it so that your fifis aren't hurt? So basically you don't feel like you need to curl up in a safe space from these fake rides based on fictional movies, which have, shall we say, well, I gotta find the clip.
Oh, okay, they're talking about fictional characters. Fictional characters. Am I getting through to you at all?
Yeah. Fictional characters. Sensitivity updates. Yes, sensitivity updates. That's what they mean by for the modern audience, or like relevant to modern times. Oh my god, don't touch the Thin Man movies. Like, no. I'm not exactly a fan of, well, I mean, I like the first two. I'm okay with the third one, and the last two I'm like, they didn't necessarily need to make them, but at the same time, don't fucking touch the Thin Man movies. Nick and Nora Charles are like, for me, the ideal couple to, they're the romantic ideal couple that I idolize. That is like the relationship goals, for one of a better way of putting it. Is Nick and Nora Charles. I love their dynamic. Well, yeah, there's no such thing as real life, but not to these people. I'll only accept being near a safe space of Snowflake and Trailblazer right there too. Hey, Nick. Hope I'm. Right now I'm fighting a headache, so I'm probably not going to be on for much longer. Since I'm by myself, I don't exactly want to lose my voice before I get a chance to see my niece this weekend. So, but yeah, don't touch Nick and Nora Charles. If you do, I will burn down the studio. That is my relationship goals for me. That was the ideal couple to look up to when I was growing up, because I grew up on classic Hollywood films. So, is it possible I'm not as attractive as I think I am? I don't know. I mean, is that what you think, Blue-Eyed Scorpio? Is that it's possible, but at the same time, is it true? So, you gotta ask yourself that. So, are you believing a lie? You might be. But anyway, sensitivity updates for their rides, which again, no one had any issue with until apparently now. They are sending Brave Megatron. Disney is retarded. YouTubers Clownfish TV reacted to this news by succinctly stating Disney's diversity and inclusion initiative claims another attraction. They have neon ads. This is part of their diversity and inclusion initiative, which has seen them make a lot of changes that nobody asked for, to do a lot of different attractions with more changes on the way. What do you make of the changes to Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin? Let us know your thoughts on social media or in the comments down below. Well, again, to kind of quote Sunny and Brave Megatron, I think it's retarded. I think it's retarded. I never lie to myself, especially. Well, I'm just saying. You gotta ask yourself. It might be. So. Oh my god, what does this say? After seeing The Bodyguard being remade and predicting American History X is going to get remade. Yeah. Oh yeah, The Bodyguard has been announced. Warner Brothers, much like others, Disney is proof that retarded asshats fail upwards. And they're remaking The Bodyguard, which, how is that going to work now? How is that going to work now post the Me Too movement and in an era where masculinity is deemed toxic, but at the same time you make your female characters more masculine? How does that fucking work? Well, here, real fast, Shade, in 2021, since you're just joining us, I'm not going to go into this article, but one thing they did was they removed her from the trunk of the car. I guess there's a part in the ride where she's being taken captive by the gang of weasels, and they remove her from the trunk of the car and put Dip in the car. And they also ended with that she's going to become the newest private eye in Mickey's Toontown, with the only positive spin I can put on that, and that is that she's at least taking inspiration from a man. They say in the art, in this like quote unquote flyer, whatever you want to call it, news piece, that she's taking inspiration from longtime friend and legendary Toon detective Eddie Valiant. So at least they had the nerve to have her still take inspiration from a man. So, but it is what it is. It is, yeah. I'm seeing that too. As of now, that it's just a report. And I commented on Open Airlock. No, it was Steve Kenobi who tagged myself and others in a post about that, and I said, so far it's just a report, but I would not be at all surprised if it ends up proving to be true, given that we are in an age of reboots now. I've said this on other streams and so forth, that Hollywood, I don't pretend to be an expert necessarily on film history or anything like that. However, I've seen enough movies. I've grown up watching Turner Classic Movies on TV to the point where I'm like, Hollywood has been remaking their shit for decades. Decades. There's even a movie that was remade within the same decade, the 1930s. Same plot, with an actor reprising the same role from like the one to the other. Hey, Teresa. Good to see you. I hope you're having a good evening. So, remakes in general, well, I'm not defending them. At the same time, I'm not surprised because I've seen what Hollywood does. They've been doing this for a long time. They've been doing it for a long time because sometimes they just want to put something together, throw it out there, make a quick buck, make a quick return on investment, so that way they can take that money and put it into an actual project they want to work on. That's what Hollywood does, or in general does. Now, what I have an issue with is the fact that these are blatant cash grabs. These are basically taking advantage of nostalgia that people have for certain films, such as Flight of the Navigator. I wouldn't say The Bodyguard, but let's say when Ghostbusters 2016 came out, they were taking blatant advantage of the fact that there is a following for the first two Ghostbuster films, actually for the Ghostbusters universe in a sense. So they wanted to capitalize on that. That's where I have an issue with. Is capitalizing on that, on the nostalgia, while at the same time inserting a socio-political agenda or identity politics where they don't belong. And that's what I fear if this ends up being true with Flight of the Navigator. because it's a relatively simple plot. A relatively simple plot. It's one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid. 1978, the main kid gets he falls when he's looking for his brother, gets knocked out, wakes back up, thinks it's later on in the night, the same night, realizes that it's been jumped forward 8 years, and his little brother is now like 16 years old. He's been gone for nearly a decade, but he's the same age as when he disappeared, and you find out that he was actually taken by these aliens to this planet. He has all this knowledge in his head. NASA wants to kind of dig into that knowledge so they can figure out what's going on. The ship is connected to him that crash landed, and the AI in the ship needs him so that way it can get back to its planet and all that all that 80s fun, with the AI being voiced by Pee Wee Herman. That is not a movie that can necessarily be remade now and trusted to just be a simple remake. I will not comply, Liquid Blake. I will not comply. Yeah. It's all just a cash grab because they are creatively bankrupt. And I agree. Pretty much. I agree because now it's like blatant that it's a cash grab because they are now definitely shown that they are creatively bankrupt. At least in the decades they were remaking films, they released other original films that were coming out, or relatively unoriginal films coming out, to make up for whatever remakes that were coming out. So it wasn't exactly like it was noticeable. Nowadays, it's like just about every year is either an announcement, news, so forth, or release of a remake or a sequel or whatever of a existing franchise because they have nothing else to work on. No other creative outlets for any other films. Thank you. A lot of the Black Lagoon background. Thank you so much. But there it is. There it is. There is that. Now, I'm gonna end it with the Gamer article. Now, this is the one that gave me an aneurysm. I believe Cecil's secretly an alien. I believe that. Only do a sequel if it makes sense. I will agree with that to an extent. However, some movies, even if it makes sense, sometimes just don't do it because, again, I don't want to come off as hypersensitive necessarily. I just don't trust Hollywood nowadays to do just a sequel to kind of basically pay homage to the movie that came before and respect the storyline already established in the first film without altering it to a drastic degree in the sequel nowadays. I just don't trust them. But it is what it is. Just for that comment, Blake, I'm going to keep it like this for like the rest of the year. So that way, every time you watch my streams or videos, I can picture you, because it'll just give me so much joy and warmth when it gets colder, that each time you're looking at my uneven posters, you have little eye twitches and conniptions. But I love you, Blake. Anyway, let's go into the Gamer article. You could stand all you want with Liquid Blake, Teresa. He keeps commenting on it, and I'm like, you know what? Not doing it. Not doing it just to trigger him. I'm not doing it. But here it is. God of War's Thor isn't just accurate, it's a win for body diversity. Yeah. It's a win for body diversity. That's the angle the gamer is going with when talking about the God of War reveal. And I know the gamer is cringe. I know it's cringe, but it's like it's one of those. It's like Kotaku and Polygon. It's like when you want to talk about cringe articles, all you like just go to those three. Go to those three. Guaranteed you could find something. And here it is. Here it is. basically, yeah. Say you really haven't played any games without saying you really haven't played any games. Because if you had actually, were actually a gamer, you would know that there has been plenty of quote unquote body diversity with characters in different gaming franchises. They're not all, they don't all look like Adonis. They don't all look like supermodels or anything like that. There is plenty of different looking characters. But now you're saying this is a win for body diversity. This is a win for body diversity. And it's by the same retard as other articles I've covered. Jade King. Alright. God of War Ragnarok's Thor has been subject to mixed reception since his reveal. He isn't the muscular Adonis we've come to know from a different iteration of the character found in the MCU, lacking the chiseled abs, laughably good looks, and what's laughable about Chris Hemsworth's good looks? I'm sorry. And charming personality that makes Chris Hemsworth's version of the god so appealing. Well, because it's based on the Marvel comics, pretty much, not necessarily actual Norse mythology. But yet this is entirely the point. We are meant to be intimidated by this man, convinced that he and Kratos could partake in a showdown that would shake the world of Norse mythology to its very core. He's frightening, reminiscent of a Swedish strongman who could pick up a car and hurl it into the sky. Sure, he's a little on the chubby side, but that doesn't matter. It's a realistic representation of how strength can manifest and a worthwhile exploration of body diversity that so few games nowadays are willing to broach upon. So basically saying if you criticize this look, it's not so much that you are lacking in Norse mythology knowledge, you are fat shaming a god, a Norse god, like a basically mythological character. Who, what, is he gonna come down and smite me because I say, hey, you got a little belly there, Thor, like maybe kind of like work on the crunches a little bit? Like what, is it like a mythological deity is gonna come down and smite me? Yeah, double dick thick Thor, yep. Yeah. Yeah, with the fat shame. Basically, fat, like, again, say you barely play any games without saying you barely play any games, because I can name, like, games off the top of my head where there's, again, characters that aren't exactly physically fit. But it doesn't matter because you're not exactly entirely focused on that, because once you start playing a game, you're focused on, depending on the game, surviving. You're focused on completing a mission. You're focused on not dying. You're focused on, like, if it's Grand Theft Auto. Yes. Not completing a mission, getting the money, and buying cool shit. And stealing cars and things like that. Stuff that, like, normal people don't do. But, like, they can escape into these games. It's the same thing with God of War. God of War has been twisting Greek mythology since the PS2 generation and the PSP to its advantage, and they did the same thing in God of War for the PS4 when they mixed up with Norse mythology. Yeah, I'm like, basically it's little bits and pieces, like, little bits and pieces, like accuracy mixed in with, like, we're tweaking these stories to fit a game, which, like, not exactly entirely in line with the actual mythology itself, which I get. At the same time, knowing what I know about a little bit of Greek mythology and Norse mythology, I realize, hey, I'm playing a game, and it's not exactly going to be entirely accurate. But at the same time, it's like, they defend this character, and then it'll be, in another article I'll be covering tomorrow, defending the race swap of another character in the same game. So, the hypocrisy is real, folks. The hypocrisy is real. When has there been a lack of physical diversity in pop culture? Never. Transformers as robots that turn into animals. Some as large as skyscrapers. Skyscrapers is not that. Not diverse enough. No. I'm saying it's like they had this idea in their heads that video games, like, have, like, these, like, just Adonis looking men or the supermodel looking women, like every game. And that's not the case. That's not the case. Trey says, I don't want a fat Batman. No, that wouldn't make any sense. But then again, a thin Penguin wouldn't make any sense either. Because Penguin is not thin. I don't care what the Gotham show shows. Penguin is not thin. Bane is not like small either. But we know that because we've actually been invested in these franchises in either movies, comics, or games. Not these people. Not these people. Surface level criticism of the character is simply down to ignorance and fat phobia. People see a character for the first time who is meant to be an unstoppable villain and laugh because his body type doesn't support the generic conventions we come to expect from strong individuals, and they put strong in quotes. How can an old man with a belly like that take on the god of war? He'd lose in a heartbeat. That's where you're wrong. This is the god of thunder and a man who has reason to be angry with Kratos and his penchant for deicide. He isn't welcome in this realm, even if he's simply trying to carve out a meaningful life with his family away from the scars of his past. That is impossible, and the consequences of such actions are deservedly being scrutinized. Don't you love the unironic use of fat phobia? The only thing that people criticize is the ignorance part. Now, I don't know as much about Norse mythology as I would say about Greek and Roman mythology. But at the same time, if you're going to, chastise anyone, it would be out of ignorance if they are comparing this to the MCU Thor, which, again, is not the actual god of thunder from Norse mythology. Yeah, I wouldn't be a fan. No skinny Penguin. Nope. Penguin's not supposed to be skinny. No. No Henry Cavill Penguin. No. Yeah. So there it is. Unironically dropping fat phobia and saying that that's one of the reasons why people are complaining about the character. And if anything, it's out of ignorance. And again, at the same time, it's also a game. It's not exactly going to be entirely accurate to the mythology itself. But as Hamina says, I'm not complaining about Angraboda being black, but claiming mythological actually makes no sense when they do race walking. Basically, yeah, if they basically said, it's the hypocrisy of the situation that I have a problem with. It's the hypocrisy where where they are heralding the accuracy of the God of Thunder in this game and correcting people who are saying out of ignorance that he's too fat or whatever because they're going along the lines of what the MCU did, and at the same time defend a race swap and things like that. That's the biggest sin. That's the biggest sin. That and the fact that they are just race swapping for the sake of race swapping when they could have set a game outside of Kratos' storyline, say in Africa, Egypt, where that character would be a lot more believable than Norse mythology, where all the gods and goddesses are pretty much white. And I think Angraboda is a redhead, if I'm not mistaken, which would be, again, a race swap of another redhead biting the dust. Amanda Waller is a lot thinner in the Arrowverse, even though in the comics Amanda Waller is a large woman. That's why I think, what's the actress' name? Viola Davis is a good casting for Amanda Waller, where she's not exactly a large woman like in the comics, but at the same time, she's not exactly that thin either. Well, yeah, like I was saying, basically, this picture right here, this depiction, is accurate to Thor and how he's described in Norse mythology. So, but it has nothing to do with fat phobia. It's everything to do, like I said, with ignorance. Go the fuck away. We don't yet know how Thor will behave in Ragnarok, but dialogue and thematic layering throughout the previous game paint him as an unstoppable tyrant, and perhaps this representation is why some fans are underwhelmed by his initial appearance. But this disappointment rings awfully hollow in the wake of needless fat phobia in response to how he looks. It's little more than a piece of official art, so perhaps you should push down on the brakes and stop getting so upset because the next big blockbuster isn't afraid to defy conventions and venture beyond the woefully small number of body types the medium has explored since its inception. God, this woman is retarded. That's all I can say to that. Like, again, say you haven't played any of all, if at all, games without saying you haven't played any of at all games. Even Hades was praised for its diverse depiction of the Greek pantheon, but its characters were largely hot, sexy, and muscular. There was little diversity to be seen in that regard. Has this person read any Greek mythology? They're at all. God, I hate the gamer. If there's any website or any 3 websites that'll make me drink right off the top of my head, it's this site, Kotaku, and Polygon, with a very close fourth being CBR. Yeah, my brain cells are committing seppuku right now. Immediately labeling fat or unconventional body types as abnormal or not deserving of equal examination is a bigoted viewpoint and one that feels like a stark denial of how the real world looks and works. Fat people exist. No fucking shit. I see them every fucking day. And strong, capable people with body types that don't align with the Nathan Drakes and Lara Croft of this medium exist too. No shit again. Anyone who's gamed knows this, and we're reaching a point where games are going to begin exploring these avenues of bodily expression in deep and interesting ways. Pandering. That's what they're fucking doing. If you aren't ready for that cultural advancement, then I'm afraid you risk being left behind as we move forward. I feel like my brain cells hate me. My head hates me right now. As a fat guy, I don't claim these fat phobia weirdos yet. Like, Trace, like, they don't belong to me. I don't claim them. So, I'm not going to go into this entire article. You get the gist. You get the gist of what this person is going with. Basically, this person is going with the fact that anyone who's complaining about this character is doing so because apparently we're all sexist in a way, and we just want characters that look like muscular Adonises or supermodels or fucking what have you. When in fact, again, like I said, like with this character, it's mainly out of ignorance, just because not a lot of people know Norse mythology, at least not as well as Greek or Roman mythology. So when they see this character, their immediate perception is to go gauge it off of the MCU Thor, which is based off the comics, which is not an accurate depiction of the character. Ignorance. Just plain fucking ignorance. Not fat phobia. Because again, plenty of games have come out. Plenty of movies have come out. Hell, fucking Resident Evil 8, a game I just fucking played not that long ago. The Merchant is a literal fat fuck. Literal. But you have them saying this is a win for body diversity, but when Resident Evil 8 came out, Resident Evil Village came out, and that the whole thing with the Merchant happened, people were like, oh no, that's going to said that's like an inaccurate depiction of body types and things like that. Oh well, no fucking shit. Everything about that game is exaggerated. Everything about Resident Evil Village is exaggerated because you are the first-person view of a guy who's fighting werewolves and vampires and a character named Moreau, who is kind of loosely based off, in a way, the Island of Dr. Moreau mentality of experimentation. A guy who's kind of one with machines, and a fucking psycho doll lady. Nothing in that game is at all based on reality. So to have a merchant be as fat as that, exaggeratedly fat as that, no one cared. But you guys had a problem with that. But this is a win for body diversity. Yeah, he's not exactly the most fit runner either. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure you've watched my streams where I'm like, move your fucking ass, Ethan. Yeah, did they forget about the blob? Again. I'm just looking at all this, and it's like you can't win with these people. You can't win. You cannot fucking win with these people. Oh, shit. I got a headache. I'm tired. Snyder Steppenwolf, you're just tuning in, and I'm just about ready to wrap up. Hope you enjoyed the replay. But I started going into this article, and I was like, oh my god. I can't finish this shit. It's like the one where, what other gamer article I was covering was like, I can't even finish this thing. I can't even finish this thing because I feel like my brain cells are committing seppuku every fucking paragraph. They are retarded. Sunny Brave Megatron, they are retarded. You can't win with them. You can't win with them. You try to appease them, they find something else to bitch about. These people, this person who's writing for the gamer, I can just about guarantee if this person was an actual gamer, then she, and I'm assuming the fucking gender right now, would know that there have been different body types in gaming for decades. Hell, Mario in Nintendo is a fucking short, fat Italian plumber. He's not thin. Luigi is thin, he's tall and thin, but Mario, short and fat. And yet he still gets the fucking princess. How? Don't worry, Sniper Steppenwolf. If you're up at all, 10 p.m. tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, I will be doing the weekly live stream I do with my nerdy home, Talk Nerdy to Us. This is generally like my live stream. I normally have a co-host, but it's one of those weeks where it's like no one's available or they're tired, or they're not feeling well, things like that. But again, like this is what we're dealing with. And like I said, I have 2 other articles that are going to be cringe to be covered tomorrow. One of which talks about Angraboda and defending that. And again, I'm kind of like along lines of like Hominus, where if they would just own the fact that they're doing it, like just doing it, the race swapping, okay, I wouldn't excuse it, but at the same time, I wouldn't it wouldn't irk me. But they're doing it just to race swap a character, like race swap another redhead. Even though they could easily create a God of War game set in Africa, like ancient Egypt, things like that, because I'm pretty sure, like, having that in there would be a lot more believable than Norse mythology. But again, I really don't fucking care because it's not a big deal. It's the reason why they do it is what makes it a big deal. What makes it a big deal. Well, I'm sorry, Snyder Steppenwolf. Hopefully again that you catch the replay. So yeah, it would be dope because not too many. At least within the God of War, they seem like they could easily do ancient Egypt. Like there's so many fucking gods and goddesses they could do in there, which would be, like you said, dope to do. But they don't do it. They race swap. They race swap a character, another redheaded character. Again, another redheaded bites the dust. Is what we get. This is what we get. We get retarded articles like this from the gamer. But I'm going to wrap it up here. Like I said, it wasn't going to be necessarily a long stream because I'm not feeling well. I have a headache. And I didn't want to be talking too long because I don't want to lose my voice. Because I'll be most likely visiting my niece this weekend on Sunday. So I wanted to basically recuperate. So that way I'm actually able to keep up with her because she's starting to walk now. This coming Sunday. Yeah. Raw, Anubis, Isis, horses. I mean, literal sky's the limit in that regard. Trey Courtney says it shows these people think white culture is better. Also, yeah, pretty much. Ginger lives matter. Yep. Primus was the OG of gods. Thank you for the feel better, and thank you wishing me a good night rest. Thank you so much. So again, thank you to everyone in the chat for hanging out with me, going through these like all this retarded cringe pop culture stuff. Again with the Simu Liu stuff that he is now rearing his ugly head, and I don't think it's going to go away necessarily anytime soon. But at the same time, I don't feel like he's going to get any repercussions regarding that. To Disneyland, or Disney yet again, revamping their rides to be more relevant to, I guess, modern audiences, even though modern audiences up until now have not fucking cared. It's really just a pander to the Twitter mob. Even though the Twitter mob is like this much in terms of like a fraction of people who actually visit these parks, to the retardedness of the gamer yet again saying that the Thor depiction in God of War is a win for body diversity. Never mind the fact that there have been other characters in other games that have shown that body diversity has been a thing in gaming for decades. That doesn't matter to these people because they are fucking retarded. And as Disney, as Sunny and Brave Megatron points out, fuck Disney, fuck retards in our pop culture, and fuck the Autobots. Yes, Decepticons for life. I'm full Decepticon simp in that regard. So, again, good night, everyone. Stay safe. Have a good, yeah. I think more is gonna come out. But have a good rest of your evening. Have a good rest of your day, depending on where you are in the world. And I will catch you all tomorrow, like I said, on my channel, 10 p.m. Eastern for Talk Nerdy to Us this week. I might, depending on how I feel, do a stream in the afternoon on Twitch. My Twitch is Jade_Fire, but again, it'll depend on how I feel. If I'm still not feeling that well, I might take tomorrow to just relax until tomorrow evenings, but we'll see. So, good night. I'll leave it on this comment. Stay safe, and I will see you all next time. Let me find the clip. Good night, folks.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.